everyone, and welcome to the second episode of the JNR Sports Talk Show podcast off of the Monsignor Farrell Media Network. I am James Westgate, joined here by my co-host,
Ralph Donniacuo.
And we have topic to talk about today, two topics involving the New York Jets. Firstly, their hiring of offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett and their quarterback situation. So, getting right into it, Nathaniel Hackett, one of the most controversial coaching hires of the offseason, some will say, especially some Jets fans, very mixed on it. I know me, I'm a huge Nathaniel Hackett hire supporter. Ralphie, on the other hand, not so much. So, Ralphie, you start us off here. Tell us why you are not a Hackett guy at all.
I mean, he did very well with Blake Bortles, right? Terrible year in Denver. Now hiring, maybe the Jets did it to try and bait Rodgers in, because we just saw Joe Douglas tweet about Joe Douglas saying how they're going all out for Rodgers this year and they're going to do their best to get him. So could that Nathaniel Hackett hire be to get Rodgers? Did they hire him because of his offensive coordinating skills, or did they just hire him to get Rodgers? That's a question that I have.
Well, yeah, on that quote, we just saw it about 16 minutes ago. You know, pretty reliable source, Tony Pauline, says Jets GM Joe Douglas has been admitting to people around the league that they plan to go all out in attempts to acquire Aaron Rodgers. So I mean, Hackett definitely has something to do with that, the connection there. You know, I guess you could consider Hackett and Rodgers good friends. They had a great connection in Green Bay, but Hackett did not call plays in Green Bay, right? So a lot of people like to bring that up. Let's go all the way back in his coaching offensive coordinator career with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, he led basically top five, no doubt, but one of the best offenses in football with Blake Bortles under helm. And when Hackett was no longer with Bortles, I mean, we saw what happened with that. Out of the league. Now Bortles isn't even in the league anymore, I'm pretty sure, not on a team. So I think Hackett had a lot to do with Bortles, and I think he's a good quarterback development guy to have as your offensive coordinator. And I also do believe he's a good play caller. And my main topic of focus on why I think this is such a great hire, Jets red zone this year just cannot score. They got the ball in the red zone, and it seemed like we were always settling for three. And Nathaniel Hackett is known for being a red zone mastermind. We saw it in Green Bay. He didn't call plays those couple of seasons in Aaron Rodgers' MVP years. But as soon as the Packers got into the end zone, Hackett was calling red zone plays. So I think his red zone mastermind ability is great. I mean, Alan Lazard said it. Having that gold zone mentality and his energy that he brings to his meetings every single time, it helps you. So
I'm going to once again disagree. I feel like this Nathaniel Hackett hire is just a ploy. It's a ploy to get Rodgers. The Jets said they're going all out for Rodgers. Nathaniel Hackett had a terrible year last year. People still bring up, OC for Rodgers, MVP seasons, wasn't calling the plays. I think this is just a ploy to get Rodgers to come to the Jets, and I feel like the Jets need that veteran quarterback help.
Okay, but also, though, Hackett was an awful head coach. There's no denying that. But also, two things. We've seen it so many times where a great coordinator becomes a head coach, and they just don't succeed. Like you saw it recently, someone the Jets know so well, Todd Bowles, got another head coaching job after winning a Super Bowl as one of the best defenses in football, and he just failed completely again as a head coach. What was it? Bucs went 8-9 this year, right?
Yeah.
The Bucs were not an 8-9 team. You have the GOAT. You have basically your same defense, and he just does not succeed as a head coach. And I think we can see that with Nathaniel Hackett, because it'd be a lie to say he hasn't succeeded as a coordinator. I mean, the year he got fired from the Jaguars was not very, it was not a successful year at all. I'll put it that way. He got fired for a reason. But his coordinating ability in the red zone I think it's great. And then also, you say that like it's a ploy to bring in Aaron Rodgers. Okay, if you want to say that it was all Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, then let it be all Aaron Rodgers in New York. It's kind of like the same thing. If Aaron Rodgers wanted to Super Bowls with Hackett as his 2 MVPs. I'm sorry, with Hackett as his OC, then let him do it in New York. It's like the same thing.
Well, for the sake of the Jets, I hope you're right. I hope Hackett does well, and I hope it's not just a ploy to get Rodgers. And if it is, I still hope they win. Now, moving on to the quarterbacks. What's your opinion? You said you want Jimmy G.
So it's not that I don't like. It's not that I want Jimmy G, but I would not dislike getting Jimmy G at all, as opposed to a lot of people. Like, I think Jimmy G is still a solid quarterback. I've spoke about that for like 20 minutes on our initial podcast. I really like Jimmy G, and I think that if you give him weapons and the running back like Breece Hall that the Jets have, Jimmy Garoppolo is a good quarterback, and he will bring you to a Super Bowl. And you have the defense there that can win you a Super Bowl. I mean, you saw it in his years in San Francisco. It really wasn't the offensive play a lot, but it was that defense led by head coach Robert Saleh that brought them to the Super Bowl. And I think if you give him a good defense, like we've seen, he can be like tremendous for the Jets. Do what he has to do. I mean, if Breece Hall plays like he did this year, then the Jets, like, you could just throw him a screen, give him a handoff, and he can take it to the house one to multiple times a game. I mean, just the play we saw from him in his limited time is immense, and Garoppolo can really, really benefit from that. So you on Garoppolo, you're not the biggest fan, but also not the biggest hater.
He's serviceable.
So. Serviceable, right.
Garoppolo's serviceable, right? But he's the same age as Derek Carr. Mm-hmm. And there's no argument that Derek Carr that Jimmy G is any better than Derek Carr, right?
No.
Now, the only reason why you go for Derek Carr, or the only reason why you go for Jimmy G is to get him at a lesser cost. That's the only reason. The only reason why you would try and get Jimmy Garoppolo is because you don't want to pay that much for Derek Carr. And the only reason why you don't go for Aaron Rodgers, which is, in my opinion, the best option, is because you don't want to have an old quarterback and you don't want to give up that much. But I feel like if you're just going to get a serviceable quarterback, why not get a better one? That's my opinion, though.
No, that's very true. The thing with Derek Carr, though, is you need to trade for him probably. You need to make a trade for him quick, because I think it's February 15th, the out-in Carr's contract comes out, and he's going to be cut if he's not traded. So I think the Jets need to make their decision within the next 2 weeks. And I'm all on board for Aaron Rodgers. I think bringing in Aaron Rodgers could also mean bringing in a receiver possibly. You know, to pair with Aaron Rodgers, you have Aaron Rodgers, Garrett Wilson, and a receiver you bring in. It would just no one's stopping this Jets team with that offense compared with the defense. Plus, you have the Hackett connection, and you're going to be perfect in the red zone. That's guaranteed. The Jets are going to be a great red zone team this year with Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers can bring this team to a Super Bowl. But then there's Derek Carr, who I also, touching on my defense point, I said before that the defense can bring this team to the Super Bowl. We don't even need that top-notch quarterback with Rodgers. I think a quarterback like Carr or Aaron Rodgers puts this team completely over the edge. I mean, Derek Carr, probably his worst season of his career, up there, you'd say. Maybe not the worst earlier years in his career. Maybe his rookie year wasn't the greatest. But he's been a borderline top 10 quarterback his whole career. He's
100%.
going to the Pro Bowl again. I mean, you look at the years like 2019, 2020, 2021, passer ratings above 95, over 100, yards close to 5,000, touchdowns. Interceptions are a bit of a concern, but definitely nothing like to completely worry about, like in a complete issue, like a Dak Prescott type of issue or a Daniel Jones second year type issue turnover.
Josh Allen type of issue now.
Right. So I think Derek Carr is your plan B, Aaron Rodgers is your plan A, Jimmy Garoppolo plan C. And I think all three of those options are A-plus signings or trades for the Jets. And I think if it's anything but those three guys, you're done. I don't think another quarterback, say Gardner Minshew, a cheap option, Mike White, not a chance. I do not want to see Mike White as a Jet next year. So I think those are your top three. But go back to Aaron Rodgers. What do you think it would take for Aaron Rodgers? And does that scare you a little bit, or would you be okay to giving that up?
Giving up what it would take to trade for Aaron Rodgers?
What do you think it would take in Aaron Rodgers' mock?
Definitely a first. We'd have to go with the 13th pick in the draft, which isn't that big of a deal for a win-now mentality for a quarterback because everybody's been saying it. The Jets are a quarterback away. The Jets are a quarterback away the whole entire season. If we had anybody else but Zach Wilson under center for half of the games, we win. We're in the playoffs. If Breece Hall stays healthy, we're in the playoffs. There's a lot of factors, but the Jets are a quarterback away. So I feel like really there's nothing to overpay for Aaron Rodgers. Well, there is, but if we're giving up a first-round pick and, let's say, Corey Davis, it's not that bad.
So here, a mock trade, I mean, here it is. It's literally just Aaron Rodgers to the Jets for a straight-up first-round pick, the 13th overall. Does it take that? Just that? I'm not sure. I was thinking maybe more of like a first-round pick it's going to take, and I think you'd have to throw in a mid-round, round 3, maybe really pushing it round 4. And then there's a possibility of a player. I know something that we were talking about that's maybe not the most realistic option is throwing Corey Davis in the deal, which is not very great for the Packers. You know, big contract. You can cut him, have no dead money. But, I mean, that's an option you can explore if the Packers, for some reason, do have interest in Corey Davis. You know, they do like those bigger type of style receivers, Allen Lazard. But in my opinion, I think it would take a first-round pick, a mid-round pick, and possibly a player. And I think that can definitely be done, especially if that first-round pick comes in next year's draft and the Jets can stay at 13, draft a solidified tackle with that pick, and I think they'd really be talking there with Aaron Rodgers, a rookie tackle with so much potential. And that's my preferred option, getting Aaron Rodgers. I don't think it would cost as much as most people think. And, you know, he's 39, he's old, whatever. You get 2 years out of it. If you can bring him, if he brings the Jets to a Super Bowl within these next 2 years and you win it.
Completely worth it.
Right, exactly. Completely worth it.
And one last plus side to Aaron Rodgers is I know a lot of people have written off Zach Wilson already, but Aaron Rodgers comes in, Zach Wilson gets a development that he never really had. Flacco tried, wasn't really too successful.
Right.
Zach Wilson gets that development he never had. There is a chance that he could still come back and be somebody in the NFL.
No, for sure. I mean, still so young, 23, 24 now. Say we get Rodgers, he sits behind Rodgers for 2 years. He's 26 years old. The Jets give him another shot. Sitting behind a bona fide Hall of Famer, Super Bowl champion, multi-time MVP, could be very, very beneficial. You know, which would be probably his 5th-year option deal if they would pick that up, and prove it year. You know, we just had success the last 2 years. You prove it. So, I mean, I think we both pretty much made it clear here that Aaron Rodgers is our first choice for 100%. The Jets.
Quick producer question from Mr. Kennedy over here. I want to hear the final take. I want to hear, 1, what you think's going to happen, and then 2, what you want to happen. So what you think will actually happen as a prediction, and then what you would want to happen even if you think it's unrealistic.
Ralph, you take this first.
What I would want to happen is Aaron Rodgers become a Jet for not some sort of crazy cost. What I think will happen is the Jets either overpay for Rodgers or they miss out on him, and we have another season without a quarterback. You got it.
All right, so my want is I think it's pretty clear Aaron Rodgers, as we just discussed. I don't think it costs that much, as people expect. And I believe we're going to get Aaron Rodgers. I truly believe the Jets are going to acquire Aaron Rodgers. Joe Douglas seems that he's committed to acquiring him. The Hackett hire kind of brings that up too. And we just saw it. Joe Douglas is even going around saying he is trying to bring in Aaron Rodgers. And I think we've seen Joe Douglas, when he says he wants something to get done, he's been a great general manager, and he has done it. So I think the Jets' plan A will come through, and Aaron Rodgers will be a New York Jet, and I will be extremely delighted with that fact. So it's the answer to that question. So, yeah, I mean, offensive coordinator situation, we have it covered. Hackett guy, not a Hackett guy.
Not at all.
My reasons for Hackett, I think it's pretty persuasive on why he was a good hire. Ralph brings up his points too. And then the quarterback situation, just got to figure it out. So that's all we're going to have here today, our one topic segment on the New York Jets offensive situation. I've been James Westgate.
I've been Ralph Donniacuo.
Thank you for joining us. Have a great day, everyone.